If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know that I, Eden, just went back into a career situation where I have to actually get dressed and be seen in public.
Well, it's not just public, it's TV.
Well, that is true, but even if it weren't for TV, I'd still be starting from ground zero because my style has changed, the trends have changed.
Armoire to the rescue.
Armoire makes getting dressed easy. It's a clothing rental membership, and I can build the perfect wardrobe with brands that are high quality, unique, and recommended just for me. I took a 5-minute style quiz, selected my items, and then the styles just showed up at my door in as little as 2 days. And when I'm ready for my new clothes, I'm just going to swap them out for more new to me styles.
What I like about it is you'll have an endless assortment of clothing, but your closet won't become a cluttered mess.
Right now, you can try Armoire with up to 50% off your first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/UU podcast. That's ARMOIRE.style/UU podcast to get up to 50% off your first month. And never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
Welcome to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast urging you to let it go and don't look back, with nationally acclaimed professional organizer Christine Stone and self-proclaimed hot damn mess radio and TV personality Eden Kendall.
Welcome, everybody, to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast for women over 50 with me, Eden, and Christine, who is a professional organizer and the only one of us that is organized, honestly, by nature.
Right.
I'm getting there.
You're getting there. Give yourself a little bit of credit.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay.
So we're really happy to have you. Some of you are newer to our podcast. We basically have been around for, I want to say it's been 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We took a couple of weeks off at the holiday time, and now we're back. And one of us has made a major life change since then, and it's me. Spoiler alert, it's me. I went from being a radio host to being a TV host. And there's a whole story behind that on how I've been in radio for 30 years. And I was co-hosting a TV show for about 7 years. And then I stopped and I went back to just radio. And then we started our podcast. Okay, that's a lot. What you really need to take away from this is kind of a big change to be making.
Yes, I agree. I think any change later in life, I find it fascinating, and I admire you so much for making a big change, and you've never looked better.
Thank you for saying that. I've been putting a lot of effort in, which is something that kind of started with our podcast. And that because even when I was hosting on this TV show before, I was coming straight from the radio station. I kind of felt like I'm a radio person. Nobody expects much from me. Now, because I'm solely, my employment is solely doing this television show, I'm going to sleep with leave-in curlers. I'm putting all my makeup on. I'm getting dressed up. I'm renting clothes. I'm trying really hard. But like you've been saying from the beginning, it's made me feel so better every day. Whether I'm at the gas station or the drugstore, I feel great.
Well, and I think people minimize just getting up out of bed and really, even if it's a tiny, tinted moisturizer and some mascara and throwing on an outfit that makes you feel good, it really does give you a little bit of self-esteem and feeling good about yourself, just getting a little bit out of, the sweatpants and, hair up in a ponytail or a bun, you know what I mean.
But even when I change out of, right now I'm wearing this leather dress and I've got all my makeup and hair done, even when I go change into something more comfortable, because I've made a little bit of effort, I still feel more put together in my sweatpants and my cute t-shirt or what have you. So it is like you've been saying all along. I really feel it now. I really do. There's something to be said for picking out your clothes in the morning
Yes.
as opposed to rolling out of bed and wearing pajamas and a sweatshirt to your job, which most people can't do unless they work from home.
Right.
But I
And
was doing it.
right, because you were in radio and no one could see anything.
Correct.
So I think also it forced you into a place of, I need to get a, I need to, Stella needs to get her groove back.
I
As
needed
I
Eda
always,
needed her groove back.
yeah. And so you got new shoes and new accessories and really focused on how you could change your wardrobe for the lifestyle you have now, which is what you guys always hear me preaching about. And I love it.
Now let's talk about how when you talk about the lifestyle you have now, that really matters because in our closets, we keep clothes usually, most people, for the lifestyle we want to have or used to have
Yep.
instead of what we're living in, day out.
Right. Exactly. People will have sequin dresses from weddings from 10 years ago, and they don't want to get rid of them, but they're never wearing that dress again. I mean, never, because it represents a part of their life that they've moved on from. So people don't think there can be emotional clutter in a closet, but for women, there definitely can be. Whether it's a mini skirt that you used to wear, but now you don't like your legs, it's a used to be. And you have to get those items out of your closet because every time you open your closet door or walk in your closet, it just reminds you of something that doesn't bring you joy or make you happy.
I'm so glad you said legs because I had a really, really burning question this weekend. One of the things I'm trying to do, a la Christine Stone, is create a wardrobe where I have everything I need to wear whatever I want. In other words, the right shoes for every dress
Right.
or every length of pants. Or how many times have we gotten dressed and we're like, well, I can't wear this. I don't have the right shoes. So I was
Right.
trying to get all the right accessories together. And I found myself asking, because it is so cold out right now,
So
even
cool.
in Florida,
It's freezing.
do women still wear pantyhose? And I'm not talking about opaque black tights,
No.
which is a definite look, but I didn't know. I really wasn't sure because I remember when that used to be, believe it or not, a dress code requirement.
I
If you
was a
wore a
flight
dress,
attendant.
right? You
If
know,
you had to have pantyhose or you got a demerit, like they had a strike against you. So I wore pantyhose all the time. And it drove me nuts because they were itchy and hot and they'd always get a run in them. And you'd have to always have a spare in your bag because you weren't allowed to have any runs. And then you have to find the
and they used
perfect
to run
color.
easier than they do now.
Oh, yeah. They're not what they are now.
Yeah.
This is like 84.
You have a
So
hangnail. You had to buy new. Get the
exactly.
nail polish and put it in
Yep.
the run.
Yep. Exactly. So if you're going to ask me, if I still think for a woman over 50, they are in style. Now, like I'm looking at you, that matches your skin impeccably. I didn't even know you had
These
pantyhose
are
on.
from Target.
I can't
And I
believe
have to,
it.
I think they're honey beige, which I have to remember now is
Oh
my color.
goodness.
Because I'm looking at, we have a monitor in here because this big change comes with a brand new set, as you
Yes.
see, because the very generous folks at my new employer, News for Jax in Jacksonville, Florida, have invited us to record here.
Yes.
So
Which I love.
We're seeing ourselves on this huge monitor, which we've never been able to do
Right.
before. And I'm looking at my legs going, yeah, I did nail it on the
I mean,
color.
honestly, the color is unbelievable. And I follow Christy Brinkley on Instagram, and she will talk about in magazine articles. One of the things she always wears are a certain type of pantyhose because they make her legs look natural, but look great. And she has great legs. So yes, I do. I think if you are a woman over 50 and you have an event to go to and you have to wear something that comes above the knee or whatever, wearing a pair of pantyhose that match your identical color, what's wrong with that?
I noticed
Nothing.
that when I was shopping, there were fishnets and all
Oh,
the different
yeah.
textures. And I thought, Mike, we'll see how trendy I want to get.
Right.
I did spend some time online trying to find out. But the other thing that's really big, and you guys that live in the northern states probably are much more familiar with, are these fake pantyhose that look like they're sheer, but they're really fleece lined.
Oh, really?
So if you
Yeah,
live somewhere-
Floridians would never wear that.
Right. So if you live somewhere cold, you can they look like almost like they're black sheer.
Oh,
But
wow.
they're fleece lined. And I thought, well, I get cold so easily here. Maybe I will look into those at some point. But
Well, I think it all depends where you live too,
Of
because
course.
people in Florida, they are happy, like pantyhose may be out. I mean, they may wear them, to a funeral or religious event, whatever, but they're not wearing them on a daily
Right.
basis because it's so hot and humid here.
Right.
So I think it just all depends on your career, where you're going, what you're doing, but you're dead on. That's all I'm going to say with that
Yay.
color. Dead on.
I want to share with you some of the reaction I got when the news hit here locally that I was coming back to TV, because I thought that you would enjoy this. First of all, this is a compliment I received, and I really liked this, even though it didn't sound right off the bat like
Okay.
it said, I don't know what your situation was or is, but for a TV station to hire anybody these days that's over 30 seems unusual. You're an anomaly in a good way. So that was meant as a compliment, because he
Yes.
was saying, this is actually a radio friend of mine, like an old radio friend,
Oh,
saying it's hard to imagine that somebody who's been through years and years and years in our profession is able to have a new, fresh start, a new career.
right.
It doesn't happen all the time.
No, it doesn't.
So it's very exciting. I appreciate that every single day.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a hormone disruptor? It doesn't sound good because it isn't, and they're everywhere. If you're starting to feel overwhelmed by hormonal changes, we've got something great to share with you. It's called Hormone Harmony, and it contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. And here's the beauty about those. They help the body adapt to stressors like chaotic hormonal changes. You're not imagining the racing thoughts or the low moods, because those are menopause symptoms. So is poor sleep, bloating, and gas. Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. Try Hormone Harmony. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Use our code UUPodcast at checkout. That's happymammoth.com. Use the code UUPodcast for 15% off today. Go to happymammoth.com and use the code UUPodcast. Uncluttered and Unfiltered is supported by Hearts for Minds. Can you imagine waiting 10 years to get screened for cancer? On average, people with mental health issues experience a 10-year delay between symptoms and seeking help, and close to 2/3 of mental illnesses go untreated. Hearts for Minds promotes healthy lives by promoting mental health education, facilitating early identification, and connecting people to treatment. Are you ready to learn more? Go to heartsforminds.org. That's hearts, the number 4, minds.org for more information and to learn how you can help. And that many people have said that kind of thing to me, like, wow, look at you getting hired.
Yeah. Well, and also, see, I guess wait till you turn into your 60s in that decade, because I still think you're young. So it's really all relative if you ask me. Because I honestly, I look at you and I don't see you as, oh gosh, they hired someone over,
Yeah.
I guess it's all how you look at it, but I think it's great. I think
Oh,
I really do. I'm so happy for you.
You have no idea. The trolls did come out in full force. So we had lots of little, when the TV station actually broke the news, that's where people really, because they weren't thinking like in terms of, it wasn't my page, it wasn't my announcement. So there were a lot of like, oh no, or worst voice in radio is one I got.
Oh my
Or,
goodness.
oh, she's annoying. You get all of those trolls that come out. And as much as I wanted to employ the Mel Robbins let them technique,
Yes.
it's hard to not feel every criticism. It really is hard. You try, you know better, but you still feel the pain when somebody comes at you with something so negative.
I think this is just me. I think you should turn the comments off, because to me, even reading that puts bad energy in your head. Even though you say, like people say, well, it doesn't bother me, I just ignore them. I just feel like, and when someone says something mean, even though you're like, well, that's their problem, and they're probably like, they don't have, you start making excuses on why it's just, turn the comments off.
It's noise.
It's noise, and it's not, I mean, like I said, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, I mean, even on YouTube, you get really mean comments.
Oh, our meanest comments are on our YouTube
I mean,
channel.
and you're like, really? I mean, so just turning them off.
One thing I I don't want to ever turn off is your
Oh,
comments
no.
on our ladies only page. So we have a group on Facebook. If you've not joined it yet, please do. It's the Uncluttered and Unfiltered Ladies Only group. It's a private group, but we're very open to anyone who wants to join it. If you're a
Yes.
woman over 50, come on in. We asked, when was the last time you made a big change? And please tell us about it. So Angela sold her preschool in 2023 to take care of her first grandson.
Oh.
And that's a big change, though. Going to work every day, seeing other adults, seeing the parents of all the kids, seeing all the kids.
And to take care of your grandson, that's a lot of work. I mean,
Right.
a lot of work. So I admire that.
Leanne said that moving away from Florida to start a new life. Suzanne also moving out of Pennsylvania to Florida to start a new life. A lot of this had to do with people moving locations. Sometimes to get a fresh start, you really have to do that.
Yes.
Your mom moved
Yes.
late in life.
Yes. She lived in Miami for 45 years and had to move to where I was because she was having some health issues. And I was really worried about it. I mean, you live someplace and have friends for that long. But she really has loved living here. It's been over 10 years now, but she's really made a life for herself. And I was telling you, I speak a lot for my other business, Neatly Designed, and I was doing a speaking engagement afterwards. I love talking to everybody. And a woman came up to me and we were talking, and she was telling me in August, she got a divorce after 18 years of marriage and moved to where we are into an apartment, and it was her choice. And she's 80 years old.
She's 80 years
She's
old.
80 years old. And I was fascinated by this story.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. She's 80.
80 years old.
And she got a divorce.
And moved to a whole different state, okay? With nothing. She let him have everything.
She just wanted to get the hell.
She wanted to get away.
there.
And I honestly, at 80 years old, to make that change, I admire people who can make changes that big at that age, because usually people just suck it up and stay where they are and be miserable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are making changes in their careers late in life, moving, like you said, to different locations. And it's scary. It's really scary. But once you get into a routine, I always feel like you forget how scary it was. It's just you have to get to a place where you're back into a new routine.
You might need that friend that pushes you.
Yep.
So a little behind the scenes, we were together when I knew that this change for me was coming. And you took one look at me and you're like, do it. Do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. And you might need your people.
Yeah.
So if we're your people, we're happy to be those people. If you have a concern, if you want to share with us something that you have looming in your future that could potentially mean big change, and you want to share it in our group, we would not mind that at all. We've seen people come up with questions and get 40 responses in the first day.
Well, also with change, if you don't do it, you'll always wonder what life would have been like if you would have done it. And a lot of people are like, I have no regret in my life. I don't buy that for me. I think everybody has something or, something in their life they wish they could do over.
Mhm.
And by taking advantage when someone offers you something, try it. If you don't like it, if it doesn't work in your life, then don't do it anymore. But to not ever try it, I just feel like people might always wonder.
You know what that reminded me of too? Remember when Dr. Tracy Alloway was on our podcast?
Yes.
And she wrote that book, Think Like a Girl. And she said, if you have a big decision to make, put your hand in a bowl of ice water for, I cannot remember. We'll have to go back through and see how long, but I want to say 15, 30 seconds, and say out loud what the decision is you're trying to make, because what it does is it turns off all of the noise, I guess. I may be getting that wrong, but it had something to do with shocking yourself. Kind of like when you call it in the air, heads or tails,
Right.
and they say, well, what did you hope for in
Yeah.
that moment? So making change can be scary when you overthink it, is my
Yes.
point.
Yeah, overthinking it. But I think as you get older, you don't overthink as much. You kind of just say, is this going to work for me and my lifestyle, my age? You do take age into consideration, I think,
Oh,
when
sure.
you're making decisions, because you may not have the stamina for a certain decision you're making And so although you want to do something, are you physically able or emotionally able at a certain point in your life? And you have to take that into consideration too, I think.
I agree with you there. So the question becomes, do you make the big jump? Do you make the big change? And that's kind of what we're here to say is there are other factors besides age that could go into it, but maybe you should take, other people's perceptions of your age out of it completely. If it's really a factor, like you said, with stamina
Yeah.
or
Physically,
whatever,
yeah.
that's one thing. But as far as like sitting there thinking, are people going to think
Right.
that I'm crazy? Or you've got to take
Or
all
I'm
of that away.
old,
I'm
or,
old. I'm too old for this.
yeah, I'm too old for
So,
this. You don't ever let age like that. I
mhm,
mean, because like I said, I feel like if you don't do something because of what other people will think, you're
mhm.
always going to wonder what life would have been like if you would have done it because you wanted to do it.
So let's talk now about some things we have coming up in the very near future that you can get ready for. So we are going to be doing an episode coming up, and we talked about this last week. Brooke Shields has a brand new book called Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Get Old. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that book, as well as the book I mentioned in this episode, Mel Robbins' Let Them
Yes,
Theory.
very
So
popular book. I got it for my daughter for Christmas.
I'm a few chapters in. I've also heard her say this on her podcasts. And the whole theory is about just instead of worrying about
Right,
what other people are doing that you have no control over, just let them, just
right.
let them. And then there's something called let me, which comes after let them. Then you have to say let me. And we'll talk about all of that in an upcoming episode. But you won't have to have read the books.
Oh, good,
But
because I haven't read either yet, but I will.
okay, but you'll read one and I'll read the
Right.
other, and then we'll talk about it. That way we know that anyone listening can be a part of the conversation regardless. But if you want to kind of study in advance, like if you're that kid in college
Right.
that read the book before they talked about it in class, then that's your reading assignment.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to both of them. I've heard wonderful things about, so I'm looking forward to reading them and seeing the details, not just the stuff they talk about,
Right.
on social media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So please remember, when it comes to big changes in your life, standing in your own way, you can let that go.
And don't look back.